Tradrick, McCoy, thank everyone for coming here tonight. And I apologize for the delay. I knew if I said 6 o'clock, then some people will come in at 6:30, so I guess we're right on time. So again, let me tell you, I gotta first start by saying it's such an honor to stand before you because I wouldn't be here without the support of many of you and some people that didn't support me, but nonetheless, I represent everybody, regardless of where you're at and regardless of our differences. But let me just do some housekeeping because we had a couple problems. We needed public safety earlier. We had a spill out front, and that kind of pushed us back a little bit. But if you want to go out to the food, can you try to use that door because I know our audio-visual team is about to start recording, and if we can limit opening this door, you're welcome to enter and go to the restroom that way as well as go to the tables for food and drink. So thank you again for coming. I am Tradrick McCoy. I have the honor of representing you here in Riviera Beach in the District 1 seat, which our city manager likes to remind us that we represent everybody, which is certainly the truth. And there's a budget that controls the entire city, and we vote at large. So it's indeed an honor. And I have to first start by saying I called this meeting for the purposes of, I've only been in office a little over 90 days now, and I've gotten phone calls day in, day out about a number of things, mostly regarding around how government works, or in some cases how it's not been working. And what I can commit and promise you today is that I can't solve it, right? But I can definitely get you to where we can try to find out a resolution for it. And it may not always be the one that is the most popular or the one that you want to hear, but certainly we have to address these issues as they come forth. And granted, everybody knows the history of Riviera Beach, but I can tell you there's a future for Riviera Beach. And I'm really grateful to be elected and to have our city manager back, Mr. Evans. So let's welcome Mr. Evans. Thank you, Mr. Evans. I'm going to give you the mic in just 1 second. But I don't have much authority around here, and that's my first employee. And my other staff member, Marie Davis, would you please stand? And I didn't just meet Marie. She's been certainly a friend of mine over the years, and we started serving together on the Planning and Zoning Board. And I would have been remiss not to select her. As much as we often had difference of opinions, I really much value her because she is a wealth of knowledge, and she tells me stuff every day, even in the most inopportune and inconvenience times of the day, early in the morning and late at night. So again, thank you for everything. And she put all of this together. So it's a huge lift. And you know what many people don't realize is being elected in Riviera Beach, we're technically part-time, but it's a full-time commitment. So when they call, you got to go. Tiffany, is Tiffany here? Miss Donna, I was at your daughter's house. Pastor Bowens, oh, there he is back there. I was at your house after 9:30 last night. So, it is what we have to do, and I'm committed to doing that. Even if I can't give you the answers, I'm going to bring you right over to our CEO of our organization who has all of the answers. So thank you for that. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome and also introduce our acting Chief of Police, Spencer Rozier. Thank you so much. And there's always a need for public safety. My biggest issue in Riviera Beach is safety, and I can borrow this from our prior mayor. If you have no safe city, you have no city at all. And certainly there's always a need to, have our first responders at the table so that we know what's going on in our community. I also have to acknowledge our other elected officials, which I don't want to omit. Our chairperson, Kashamba Miller Anderson. Chair Pro Tem, Dr. Julia Botel. Okay, I thought there was somebody else. But, sorry. The at-large councilperson, councilperson Douglas Lawson. So while this is, he's voted at large, you should just come on up here and sit at the table with us. No, you're good. And our mayor, I'm sorry. Our honorable mayor, please forgive me. You know I have to apologize, right? Because me and Mr. Evans and Mr. Amon Israel started at 10 this morning walking in the neighborhood, so we're nice and moist at this point. We've been sweating all day. We've been at it, so my head is not in it. So please accept my apologies, Mayor. I didn't even see you back there. And also our councilwoman from District 3, Shirley Lanier, in her absence, which I imagine she'll probably be coming in at any moment or a few minutes thereafter. So thank you again for coming. The purpose of this meeting largely was around what was going on in our communities with road construction, and there has been a lot of calls about that. And I want to certainly get to that point. And I also want to recognize our Public Works Director, Mr. Terrence Bailey, and also our engineer, Mr. Jeff Santa. Mr. Santa, stand up for us, because let me tell you, you know all the answers, and I don't know them. So we're going to get there, folks, and I brought these subject matter experts to be able to help us get there. So we got the introductions through. Where are we at now? I'm going to allow our city manager. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here this evening. I wanted to say that it's certainly an honor and a privilege to have an opportunity to come back and be this community city manager. And I can tell you that if you don't see the commitment from your elected officials tonight that are here in attendance, and obviously Ms. Lanier has a full-time job or she would be here, showing you that the city is committed to moving forward cohesively as a team. One district is not more important than another district. We are an entire city. We are the city of Riviera Beach, and we will always be looked at as the city of Riviera Beach. An issue on Singer Island and an issue on Avenue H is just as important to each and every one of your elected officials and administration. We are going to build a team that's going to make you proud. We're going to do the right thing despite what the challenges and obstacles that may lay ahead. They may not be popular, but one thing I can guarantee you is that we will communicate with you openly and honestly. I've asked all the department directors at my first department director meeting is that phone calls will be returned in 24 hours and emails will be returned in 48 hours. That is the standard that we will set forth. When we leave the office every day, we want to give you an honest day's work, but leave our very best in the community that we serve. We want to make sure that you're proud of each and every one of us. I didn't come here to be your next city manager. I came here to be your last city manager. And so I want you to know that every city manager's success and board's success is predicated on the men and women that serve this community, our employees. Our employees are our most valuable resource. If the employees didn't come in today to clean the floors, to make sure the lights work, the AC works, nothing happens. And every city manager and every board is only as successful as their weakest link. And so our job is to make sure we give the employees the tools to do their job so they can serve you. There's things that are going to be coming out of the city manager's office that are different than my first go around. We're going to be engaging you in ways that we haven't engaged you before. We'll do coffee with the manager. I'm going to have open office hours that I'll block out some time that if you wanted to walk in and say, Mr. Evans, there's an issue on Avenue O, you can come in because City Hall is your house. You should never feel like you're inconveniencing anyone by showing up to your house. The real authority in government is derived by the public's willingness to be governed. You as the community are the ones that are in charge. If you look at the inverted pyramid, it is the citizens and the voters, the board, then staff. The power is in your hands. And we as an organization need to make sure that your voice, your opinion, your perspective really matters. And that you know that you have people in City Hall that really want to make you proud. That when you go out to a restaurant and they ask you where you're from or where you live, that you're proud to say the city of Riviera Beach. I want when a job is posted on our website that we have to close it within 24 hours because people are just dying for the opportunity to work for this organization. I said earlier that the only thing that's important, the only currency that we accept at City Hall now is smiles. Because we want people to be excited to be at work. We want people to know that they have an environment that allows for them to grow, allows for them to prosper, and set the tone for the next generation. As I see young people here in this room, it pleases my heart because we do the things that we do on the elected side and on the appointed side to make sure that those young men and young women have a better opportunity and a better chance than we had. And what's the point of being in a situation of authority and power if you cannot reach down and grab those up with you? So as we move forward as a community, we're going to ask for your commitment. We're going to ask for your help. We're going to ask for your opinion. We're going to ask for your input because that's the only way that we move forward as a community. And a quote that I use all the time is, "A ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for." And we know we are going to set sail. We understand there's treacherous waters ahead, but I can tell you with this board and with this management team, you've got good captains at the ship. And things are going to change. And you're going to be proud to actually say that you live, work, and play in the city of Riviera Beach. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as your manager. I cannot tell you the number of phone calls and birthday wishes and people that through my departure reached out to me to see if I was okay, and it really touched me and my family. And I can tell you that the sense of pride and the sense of community that we have here in Riviera Beach, if we take that and we sparkle it on any problem we have, there's not a problem, a situation, a circumstance that we can't overcome. And I can tell you that we are going to sweep away the I, me, and my, and it's going to be we and ours. It's going to be we and ours. And I can tell you that when we get back into City Hall and you come to the city manager's office, you're going to see a trash receptacle. And the trash receptacle is going to say, "Leave your egos and your attitudes here." And you can pick it up when you go home, but we're really going to be focused on providing exceptional public service. I don't want us to be the best in Palm Beach County. I want us to be the absolute best in everything that we do. So you're going to get an honest day's work from each and every one of you. Us, I can tell you your elected officials are acutely aware of what's going on, and they want to move this organization forward to exceed whatever your expectations are. So again, thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for spending the time with us. And please, in closing, don't wait 2 weeks to come to a council meeting to tell us what your problem is. Walk to City Hall, call City Hall, tell us what your issues are so we can resolve it before you have to go to the council meetings. Because I want to change the narrative to when somebody does come to the council meeting, you could say, "You know what, I contacted Public Works about a pothole and they fixed it. I contacted PD about an issue and they resolved it." Because we want to be responsive, because ultimately we work for you. And so thank you again for the opportunity, the blessing. I'm extremely humbled by this. And this meeting is intended to hear what you have to say concerning the projects and initiatives in your community. But this is not the last time we're going to have sessions like this. We are going to make sure that it becomes standard procedure for us to get together as a community to celebrate, to fellowship, to talk about issues. Because knowing this community the way I know it, you're okay if we let you know what's going on. Your issues are when we don't communicate with you, and we need to do a better job on doing that. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Councilman McCoy, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Evans, for your sermon. I don't even know what else to say. I'm moved every time I hear you speak, as if I've never heard you before. Folks, we do have about 6 seats over here, so if you want to come have a seat here, there are some seats available. And if we can pile in, and again, if you want to exit, I simply ask if you use the rear door and go around so we can limit this door opening, because we are recording. Again, my purpose for calling this meeting is to address some of those concerns. So I want to start with bringing up our Public Works Director and also his staff persons um, regarding some of the current road construction items that's going on. And while I do have on the agenda question and answers at the end, I think it's important that while they're up, if you do have a concern, I want to see that we can try to address those concerns, while they're on the subject, so we can know timelines, so we can know what's going on, and we can hear from you as to what's not working. I do have folks that are actively taking notes, so that if there are some issues that we are not aware of, that we haven't addressed, then we'll certainly make sure that we get your contact info and that we'll be following up with you, because I don't want anybody to leave here with something on their mind that they want to say. At least if you have to even do it in private, I'm okay with that. And to my surprise, they were circulating my business cards that got my cell phone number on it. So even feel free to call me on my cell phone, right? Because that's what I'm here for. And I definitely want to do nothing but serve. And more than anything, it's an honor to do that. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Terrence Bailey, Mr. Jeff Senon. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Terrence Bailey, your Public Works Director. Tell you a quick story before we get going. About 10 minutes ago, I leaned over to Jeff, said, do you want me to stand up there next to you, or you got it? Now, understand, Jeff's only been here since April 1st, so most of the projects were ongoing, and he kind of fell into a ditch in some of these situations. But he said, no, I got this. So you've heard me enough over the last few years talk about the project, so I'm going to turn it over to Jeff and let him take his first solo flight.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Sanon. I'm the city engineer for the city of Riviera Beach. Glad to be part of the Public Works Department. I'm happy to be here. During this time, one of our main focuses is construction projects. I'm able to go out in the community, talk with different folks about issues and problems that they have, and everybody's been open and honest. One thing that I've learned is residents in the city of Riviera Beach, they are honest, brutally honest, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So what I'm going to do right now is just go over a few of the projects, the status of the projects that's going on in your community. So I'll start with the main project that's going on. Avenue O from 27th to 23rd. Lots of talk about that project, a lot of issues and concerns, and I know everybody wants to know what's going on with that particular project. That project is almost done, believe it or not. Right now, hold on. I know, here comes the honesty. Hold on. So that project's an infrastructure project, mainly water main, drainage, things like that, things that are subsurface and underground. That part of the project has been done. So right now, doing this, we're doing everything that you can, which is working on right now concrete, driveways, sidewalks. We've had issues with them, trying to correct that right now. See, a lot of the activity is going on 26th Court, trying to correct issues, just get everything right. Talking to residents, trying to find out what the problems are. We haven't gotten to everybody, but we're reaching out. Construction is still going on. After we finish the concrete work, finish addressing issues and problems, then we're going to do the final lift of asphalt. After we do the final list of asphalt, putting together a punch list, all the issues and concerns. Received a lot of emails, a lot of calls. A lot of folks actually coming into the Public Works building and voicing their concerns. Fine. So we're putting that all together on a list, giving it to the contractor and showing them the thing that we need to get taken care of. Not too late to add your concerns or let us know what you need or if there's any problems that you do have. One of the things that we did was a survey. We had a team go out to all the residents, give them a survey so they can write down what the issues and concerns that they have so we can take it back and look at it. I know during that time not everybody was reached, so what we did, part 2, we mailed it out to everyone. I know there's some folks that may not have been reached, so if you're one of them, I have a copy of the survey. Just meet with me after. I can give it to you. Also, we have a hotline, a Public Works hotline. I have that number. Give it to you. We just want to open communication. I feel that's a big thing. We need more communication so we won't have issues that we do have. So I want to promote that. But what's going on now is, as I was saying before, 26th Court, the concrete work, sidewalk, driveways, putting together the punch list so we can take care of the rest of the items. Sod, irrigation, fencing, all of those type of issues. Once that's done, pretty much I would say we're aiming for the end of August, early September to have everything completed. I'm still trying to get outreach from the community as far as what their concerns are so that we can be on the right page. I need to hear from everyone. So whatever it is, please get with me. I'll make myself available. I'll come to the house, see what the problem is. Next project we have going on, Avenue O, 28th, 30th, and 36th. Another water main project. We've installed pretty much 90% of the water main, so most of the underground work is done. Within the next 2 weeks, we're coming back to do the drainage on 36 and N. We have some structures that are going in there. Then after that, come and do sidewalk work and mill and resurface. That project is slated to be finished in October. And next, we have, yes.
Testing. Mr. Sandin, can you speak to Monroe Heights? Because I know I personally went out to almost every door in Monroe Heights, and I touched everybody, and I know a lot of these concerns. Before we move over to the 28th and 30th Street, if there are some questions and concerns, because I know I spoke to Donna and also Pastor Bowens and some others in Monroe Heights area specifically regarding ingress and egress. I don't want to move forward until we can try to see if there's any concerns relative to what we're doing right now in Monroe Heights so that we can address these issues and allow them to, bring forth whatever they have. So is that all right, Mr. Bailey? So concerning 23rd Street to it's not 7th, is it? 26th Court. We are there now. Have we not addressed anyone's concerns from Monroe Heights that currently have construction that you've reached out on? Ms. Coleman? Right here at the microphone for me.
The issue with me is nobody have really come to my home and spoken to me. Most of the time, I'm not home, so you will not be able to make personal contact with me. But my fence been torn up on O Avenue, 2 places torn up, and they came in, nailed something together and screwed something together. It's not my fence. They put something there so my dog would not leave out of my yard. My gate, they had to take the entire gate off. They have not addressed that issue, and it's a situation, they got to replace that gate, and I had to turn off the electrical part and cut off the electrical part of my gate because I have an electric gate. Let's say that. I had an electric gate. My porch all cracked up. And half of the time when people come, I said, please be careful because I do not want you to trip and fall or whatever because my porch is all cracked up because where they were bamming and trying to crack up the sidewalk, it cracked up my porch. So they still got to replace that, and the gentleman from the company gonna come and visit me and told me it was shoddy construction. I said, that is not true. It is not true. The person who did my tile on my porch did my tile in my house, did my tile around my spa area, and I've had no problem. And you're gonna tell me now on my porch, the smallest part, I got a problem because of shoddy construction. I don't believe it.
Ms. Coleman, you text me every Sunday.
I do.
Right? I really do. With an inspirational scripture, so you know you can always call me.
Well,
But
I don't
certainly,
give you work. I do inspiration.
I got your address, and I don't even need you to say it publicly. I have your address, and I have your phone number. I can assure you that you are on our list. We will be back in contact with you regarding those. And I want to come out personally to make sure that I understand what it is because, a part of what happens is, again, and I said this a couple times, I'm an accountant. This gentleman here is a business guy in the public administration. These are our expert engineers, and not even them. They're not even out in the field pouring the concrete or running that tamp machine. So what you hear a lot of times from contractors, may not necessarily represent the position of the city. And sometimes when you deal with so many different individuals, you know, the real truth of it sometimes get lost. But what I will assure you, Ms. Coleman, and you know I know you, I will be there. So just rest assured that we will come out and I'll take a look personally and to make sure that we know what's going on and we can begin to address your concerns.
Thank you.
Pastor Bowens, you got anything for me? Because I know they pulled your driveway today. They did? And how we doing?
After all, now y'all know what happened when a preacher get on the floor, don't you? Okay. Well,
Hey,
I
we
want
know
to
how to pull your coattail.
Okay. Well, I want to thank the council, you know, for the work that you have did so far, because I can see that you are a working councilman, and also I saw the engineer. He came out to address some of the problem. But right now, I can say that I'm kind of on hold, a wait and see, because the engineer, I guess that was an engineer that came out and he discussed the problem that we had at 1309 about the lower elevation. You know, y'all know what happened. The roads, they are not at the same elevation that they were before.
Sure.
Okay, and that creates a problem. Okay, like we have a lot of areas there where something going to have to be done about boundaries or something to keep the soil from falling down when it rains. So now the engineer today, he gave us, he said he was looking for a solution. He could see the problem, but now we're going to give him time to find a solution. So, but right now I'm on hold. But I thank y'all for coming up. Why did it take you so long?
Hey, but Mr. Bowens, when you called me, let me tell you, I've had every administration official that has been in the city for the last 2 years at your house. So
yes, you did.
We definitely got you covered, and we're going to make sure we come out and follow up. So we're going to address those issues. Now, one of the things that I guess I kind of found out that Monroe Heights all had speed humps at one point. And I don't think that is something that we'll be doing going forward because of the valley. Can you speak to that, Mr. Santana, Mr. Bailey?
But could I say one thing before
Sure,
I go and take my seat? Well, but now, one thing I would like to say too about 26 Court, and I wanted the council and everyone to address it, that is, seemed like on 26 Court, it's the speed. Everyone want to speed down 26 Court. Like I call 26 Court Little Blue Heron. Seemed like to me all the traffic from 27th and from Obama everywhere, remember 26 Court. Oh, you know, they don't stop. So now, thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Bowens, and that is an issue that I have also brought up to our public safety department. And you know, our chief is taking note, and we do have traffic enforcement here today. So certainly I reached out maybe about 4 days ago, and I also told them that we need to be especially careful with the road construction. We do know, hopefully everyone knows that January 1, texting and driving is a primary offense, right? And not only texting and driving, you can't even use a mobile handheld device when you're in a school zone or a construction zone. And it's very important because let me tell you, oh my, I've literally had to protect our kids myself when crossing the roads in some of the school zones because of people that are distracted while they're driving. So certainly, Mr. Bowens, our chief has taken note, and I've asked for, you know, increased efforts in our areas of construction. I did see Ms. Cummings and also Ms. Gordon. Ms. Cummings, if you want to come up. Ms. Gordon, you next. Tell me a compliment. Tell me something good first.
Tell you something good? I'm old and they didn't put no grass back for me. All my neighbors
Speaking
got
to the
grass.
mic.
All my neighbors got grass. I didn't get grass, and the young man across the street from me didn't get grass. And my address is 1246. And she said she didn't get new grass either. And plus, they took my they moved out when they widened out the road. They moved our sprinklers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the guy did come back and put one sprinkler on, but the way we on a hill now. We never had a hill. We was, you know, they dropped the road in the valley and sold our sand.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what it is. And then when they drop that road, that means that our sprinkler system is sitting up, it's not right anymore, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
So
And-
I think they need to attend to the,
No thinking about it. That's definitely a part of the concerns that we are going to be addressing in the punch-out
Right.
phase.
oh,
We're
okay.
trying to get there before the grass die.
Oh, it's already gone.
But it is our
The
commitment.
man come
to
by
take
every
care-
day and shoot water on it, and then it's already gone.
Yeah. Mr. Sanon, you had something in response to that?
I was pretty much going to say, just
One more thing, the alleyways. They clean out the alleyways, but when you get to the 1100 block on 27th Street, they don't clean that alleyway. And I can tell you why, because it's a sand hill. And then I told the guys when they was cleaning, I say, it's not bushes back there, it's trees back there. They do not clean the 1100 block in the alleyway. And you say your alleyway too? Oh, okay, but I know the 1100 block on 27th Street, they don't go in the alleyway. 1200 block on 26th Street where I live across the street, I showed him those bushes over there. They are all in the wires. They do not clean the alleyways because Mr. Barnes' wife told me the same thing. They don't clean the alleyways, 1200 block of 26th Street, 1100 block of 27th Street.
And I do have those written down on my list.
Yeah,
Ms.
because
Cummings.
I showed them to you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Mr. Sanon, did you want to respond to her?
I was just going to follow up, just saying the irrigation and the sod, they started a little of that work, but most of it's going to be on our punch list. So I can still get with you to make sure that nothing's missed on your part, but we're still putting sod out. We're still looking at irrigation. They're going to get the list. They've started working on that, but we haven't put our full effort on them taking care of it. Normally on a construction project, they wait towards the end, get the project completed, then they do all the restoration items after. Still have to come to that work. What they're doing is they're looking to see whatever problems that they could see, they're taking care of it. They haven't gotten our list yet. We'll get to you.
We got you, Ms. Cummings. Ms. Ernestine, Gordon, and then Mr. Terrence, and then Mr. Lawrence. Ms. Gordon?
Okay, I was just looking at your fire hydrant that you have on all the streets, looking like they're up on something, and they're not they're not pretty at all. All the streets, you know, look like you got it right in the middle of the walkway. Is there any way you can change that? Was it designed like that?
Well, let me look. He nervous. I'm not nervous. Let me go in and respond. I'm going to accept responsibility because I don't want to point the blame to say who made the mistake. The mistake was made. And I pointed this out to our city manager, and Aman is our witness. He was there today. And we went down 25th Street, and we seen the one in front of 1208, and we seen that it was right in the middle of the sidewalk. So I can tell you, Ms. Gordon, that we are going to be working on finding a solution, because one of the problems that we have when it comes to the sidewalk, when we can't put the fire hydrant in the sidewalk, we have to now go onto a private property and ask for permission to put a fire hydrant.
Why they didn't do that at the beginning?
Ms. Gordon, again, I can't point the blame, and I accept responsibility. You know my family, so you can just call in and, you know, lay in on me, but that's what we're addressing right now, because it's an important issue, and we know that there are a lot of people that use walkers and canes that travel up and down the sidewalk. It's just one of those things that may have gotten overlooked, but I can assure you that we are addressing it. And that's a utility district thing, because they provide the water utilities for our fire department. So
Make sure you do, because I'll be honest with you, it's so unattractive. It looked like a 10-cent job. It really. I mean, the streets, you know, it's sitting out there, and if you walking 2 or 3, one gonna have to go out in the road, and the other one gonna be on the other, go down the sidewalk. So it really don't make no sense. So please correct that, okay?
my word, Ms. Gordon.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And Terrence, you can come right up after her, sir.
I want to address this too, but with the roads also in front of, and in my kitchen, I have 2 broken tiles. When they was doing this spamming, all this thing, 2 broken tiles in my kitchen. And then in front of my house, there is a dip right there. You know, when the cars are going fast, you can hear the dip, you know, right in front of your house.
Yes, ma'am.
And you say what's your name right there? Terrence, you over the what? Okay, I think I've called, I don't know how many times, about the house on the east side of me with all those trees and all those things hanging all over your house. I mean, I can't grow no grass on the side because all the trees are hanging over there. I mean, it looked really like a jungle over there on the east side. I mean, it's terrible. And I've called several times and nobody came out. They'll say, I'll be out, but they never came out. Yeah.
Okay, well, do me a favor. Don't tell your address. I have a staff person to get your address.
Oh, okay.
And the city manager just assured me we'll have a crew out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Ms. Davis, can you get her name and address?
Okay.
So, thank you so much, Ms. Davis.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Terrence. You know, and I'm trying to preserve have a level of anonymity, so at least because this is being streamed live, I don't want anybody to come to your house or know where you live in case you want to be secret about it. But feel free to address your concerns, and we can certainly write it down.
Well, my concerns is I live on 26th Court, Joe Bowen's house. We noticed on the backside that you guys took away the swell that we had in the back as far as the easement. Now you're taking away the front part of our house. So now you're making our roads smaller. So what's happening is people can't park. If we have people to come visit us, we have no place to park. So my concern is now that I have we talked about it yesterday about my driveway, and that they didn't want to help us out as far as fixing the other side. We have one side done, but then they didn't want to do the opposite side. I was like, why you don't want to do the opposite side, but you'll do one side? You know what I'm saying? And as far as the speedway on 26th Court, like my granddaddy said, we need to put them speed bumps back. We have kids that ride up and down the street on bicycles all day, all the time, and I have to literally watch on my cameras my kids to see. And I'm also going to say it, we have law enforcement officers flying up and down our block. I saw it twice yesterday.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Terrence, I'll tell you, I actually had the city manager at your house in particular this morning, and we did look at that same issue that you brought up because it was concerning to me when you told me last night. So right after I left you, I texted him and said we need to be there first thing in the morning, and that's what we did. Now, Mr. Bailey, can you speak to speed or traffic calming devices going back into Monroe Heights? Is that an option, or how does that play into the current road design now?
I don't remember off the top of my head where speed bumps were before, but typically if they were there before, they're going to go back as part of the project. If not, obviously, if there's a concern of that nature, we have a traffic calming policy, and we can evaluate whether adding speed bumps where they didn't exist before will work. So 26th Court, well, obviously, Mr. McCoy knows where we're at, and we have a meeting actually with staff this week to go over speed bumps in general and where they're most appropriately placed inside Monroe Heights.
Definitely on 26th Court.
Well, and the other part of it, and you know, I know sometimes government can do too much. You coming up, Ms. Donna? Okay, before you do, I want to recognize this gentleman that had a concern first, and you right after him. But, you know, one of the things I noticed, and I had got a request from another citizen about traffic calming devices, also known as speed bumps. It requires that you have to get signatures from over 50% of the property owners. And we know, Mr. Bowens reminds me that most of these people are renters, so sometimes it's hard to do that. And I know one of the initiatives that I talked to with our city manager and also our assistant city manager was that seems a little arduous to have to go out and get signatures for people who you don't even know who owns the property. And sometimes it's just a logical thing. And I'm going to see how we can address that policy going forward so you don't have to, you know, do that because, you know, even on my street, there's home daycares, there's schools, there's churches. So it just makes sense to have traffic calming devices in areas where there's high traffic, and definitely there are children. But I mean, quite honestly, in Riviera Beach, I don't know why there shouldn't be a street that already has it, you know, because that's just the nature of where we are. And we are addressing that policy. And, you know, once we get to that point, you know, I don't want to really expect anybody to have to go out and do that because that's quite a bit of work. And then it's still a council decision. So hopefully we can put in an administrative policy to get it done without having to go through that. Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Donna, you're on deck.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I don't know the policy about reporting damage to the property when the construction was going on the road. You know, I would have, but it's an opportunity to let my problem be known now. My problem is with my mother's front yard before the construction happened. Was before the road work was done. We had bricks on top of the sidewalk, facing the sidewalk against the grass, and they're gone now. And every time she watered the grass, the dirt comes out of the grass, you know. And so I didn't know who to call or who to report to.
Jerry, you know who to call. This is my family member, folks, and I think he's trying to show out on me.
Okay, all right, okay. So everybody got a good laugh? Okay, we'll talk later.
Okay, thank you. Donna.
Hello, everyone. I want to say thank you, and to piggyback off of what my dad said, I witnessed on Sunday. I live on 24th Street, and my parents live on 26th Court. So I was leaving their house, and on 26th Court, there's no place to park on any of the streets where they have, since they put that drain or whatever it is in the middle. And I was trying to get down to the end of 26th Court to turn to go home. I know my car couldn't get through because I drive an SUV. So I stopped and pulled over, and another truck came behind me, and he tore the windows off of another car because people are parked on the side, so you cannot get through. And if you go knock on their door, it's going to be an issue, and ask them to move their cars. And on the holidays, like they were saying, there's a lot of family gatherings. You cannot get through the streets, so that's a big issue, a big issue. And that easement, or drain or whatever they call that white piece that's in the center of the road, I have grandkids. That's my daughter Tiffany, and Terrence is my son-in-law. I saw kids come through that, and even adults. You know, we played in the street. That's where we grew up all the time. We didn't have to worry about that easement or whatever that is in the middle of the road. I saw kids flip over on their bicycles trying to go in because of how it's designed in the middle. I saw kids fall over on skateboards. I'm just being concerned about the kids that play, right? Safety, that's what I'm concerned about. And that accident that I saw, the car kept going. He tore the sides, the mirrors, and everything off, and he kept going. So there is a big concern.
Thank you, Ms. Donna. And again, my conversation today with the city manager was that we have to figure out an alternative to what we have now, because there have been a number of concerns that have come up related to...
I've even backed up because I refuse to go knock on somebody's door because you don't know if they're going to shoot you or whatever. So it's just the issue. Safety.
We are definitely going to address it. And when you contacted me, you know I called you right back.
Yes, you did. I have to say that.
Just, folks, only thing I can ask for is just to be patient, because when I started getting all these calls, I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe it, and I thought, you know, this couldn't be happening. But I understand what the issues are. I've been out there, so be assured, Ms. Donna, that we are going to take care of it and look into it. Ms. Brady?
I just want to say that Monroe Heights has been so depreciated now. The appearance is awful. I don't know who designed our streets to where it is now, but over on 24th Street, the traffic, the narrow roads that we have there, you can't park. My grass has been taken from my fence in the front on 24. I'm giving my address because it's a public area. But 1110 West 24th Street, that's some old grass sitting in the front, right from the street. You can see this grass browner than brown that they brought there to stay for a while. And they said, oh, they're going to replace it when they're finished. How am I to know when it's going to be finished? And why did they put this dead grass in front of my house on 24th Street? Now I have another house down, it's my tenants there, but I'm concerned about it because I owns it. And you were saying that people that don't know the owner, whoever living in the house have to know the owners.
They have to know who own those houses. And on top of that, they need to do something about what they, over on H Avenue, across the tracks, those roads are so beautiful. I have friends over there. I can just live over there and enjoy. But when you coming down Monroe Height and turn on 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 26th Court, it's a shame. It's really embarrassing. Now, you have nowhere to park. I came down Friday night to coming from a women's conference, and I was going down 26th Street. 26th Court. They had this big party on both sides. I was so afraid trying to get out of there, get through there. I was trying to back up. I didn't know what, I panicked because you know why? It was dark. The guys was, I mean, they had a little party, maybe a repass. I don't know what they was having. But finally, somebody came out there and moved one of the cars so that I can get by. But it's so sad the way those streets and the way it looked with those drainage in the middle of the street. You got 3 sidewalks. I mean, you can walk right out there on the sidewalk. The streets are so narrow, and you said it yourself, Tradrick. It's off of commission, I'm sorry. But I know if I'm a little boy. But anyway.
Does anybody not know me or is not related to me in this room?
But it's not beautiful anymore. I know Monroe Height wasn't always the best, but it was one of the greatest places you wanted to live. Yes, but now looking at those look at the streets, looking at the driveways, looking at the narrow path that you got to wait for somebody to come down so that you can go down, it's so sad. I never seen nothing like it in my life, and I don't know how anyone can sleep that put that or designed that to be so. I look at you on channel 18, I look at 18. I don't come over there, but I'm going to start coming. Yes. But I just say—
Call me first, Miss Carolyn. Because let me tell you, it's so much easier because when you get us up there and we're not prepared, now we all looking confused, but certainly I can't do anything but be accessible and receive these calls. We know that there are some concerns with the design. There's enough blame to go around, and I don't want to say who did it, but let me tell you, I'm going to tell you, we are going to fix it. And what I'm trying to say is this: I don't want it to be a burden on the taxpayers, because let me tell you, conveniently, there are conspiracy theories that go around. The city had to pay this, so my water bill is going up. I can assure you that's not the case, and it doesn't work like that. So we've already started the discussion about going to the legislature in Tallahassee this upcoming legislative session to find dollars for infrastructure improvements so that we don't make it a burden. But whatever we have to do, and I've already spoken to the manager, just in the short term, he's conceptually approved overtime so that we can address some of these concerns related to the drainage piling up or the roadways being clogged because of the sand runoff into the road. So we are addressing these concerns, but please, we don't know these issues until you call. I want to say I can touch everybody. I almost did in Monroe Heights. I was just a few doors shy, but certainly we are working on it. Ms. Carolyn, please call me, and anybody else, call our offices, at least the legislative office, because I may not answer, but I'm definitely going to call you back. Ms. Davis?
I don't want to talk about the roads. I want to talk about the houses, the yards, the trash. We need to crack down on code enforcement, because I ride around all the time in the mornings throughout Riviera Beach investigating things, and these houses are horrible over here in our neighborhood. We have to do better. We do. And then not only that, all the buildings, even office buildings and any kind of businesses, we need to crack down on this stuff in here. We're talking about we want to fix up the west side. We need to fix it up. Okay? That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Oh, and if you need me to get some addresses of some owners, I can do that. I'm in the real estate.
Please.
Okay.
And I actually drove the district, and let me tell you, I seen engines sitting on sidewalks. I've seen all kind of trash. The stuff that I've seen is just unimaginable that somebody can have this in their front yard. You know, there's a property that I won't speak to it because I don't want to single anybody out, but they seem to be doing some sort of scrapping, I believe you call it, or salvaging or recycling of metal in their yard. And there's people that live next door, and it's just an eyesore. So I certainly understand it. And let me tell you, when we were walking today, I stopped code enforcement and said, I need you to go right there right now, because I just seen this violation where there's this huge amount of trash in this front yard where they just do it every single day. And nobody wants to get out and look at that every day. So I certainly understand your concerns. let me tell you, it's not popular that we have to go out and tell somebody, hey, you're breaking the law or that's not allowed. But that's a quality of life issue, and it affects everybody. And it makes me feel bad when I have to drive up in a community where things that are there that shouldn't be there, and we have to address those. Yes, sir, Mr. Pleasant.
Yes, Mr. McCoy. I talked to you earlier,
Yes, sir.
and I think you and I have the same concern. Now, my concern is property rights. And I mentioned to you that I had property that they were loitering on. I was told when I built that property to go get signs and put it up, and the police department would come out and arrest those guys. They sell dope there, they drink, and they throw bottles right down on my property, which I have to go and maintain. Now, I went to the police department, I registered again, I put the signs up. When I call 845-4123, they come out, but they don't do anything. They tell me that they can't do anything. Right across the fence from me, I showed them a sleeping bag where someone is sleeping on somebody's property. I mentioned that to them. They said, well, they can't go over there and look at that. So I gave several people the right to come up on my property and arrest or question those people that come out. I don't want to call their names. I can tell the assistant chief later, but they don't do anything. This has been 2 years.
Sir.
And I'm a little tired of it. Every time I cut the grass, I have to move. You'd be surprised at the bars that I have to remove off my property where I pay taxes at before I can even cut the grass. So it's about time that they do something about that. And it's signs right under where they sit. No loitering.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, my heart goes out to you, Mr. Pleasant, because this feels like the same exact thing that I just experienced last week. You know, my board members can witness to this. At our CRA meeting, I told our CRA director that at least for our CRA district, and now we went citywide with this initiative, there's absolutely zero tolerance for loitering outside of any retail store, any retail plaza, any gas station, or any convenience store. These people come out and they drink, they purchase alcohol, and they loiter, and all of that stuff ends up inside of the alleyways and the roadways. And not just that, it breeds the criminal element. I don't want people, if you have to go and purchase something at the store, purchase it and go home. But when it just makes for a bad situation when someone who's a senior citizen wants to go into the store and they're being greeted by somebody that's been out drinking 211 all night, steal 211 beer, or asking them for $1. So we already, and I think they're going to address the community policing initiative regarding the loitering and trespassing outside of retail stores and convenience stores. So certainly I do understand, but here's the thing, Mr. President, and for everyone else, you have to call. Because as much as I have a lot of faith in our police department, we already know that they can't be everywhere at all times. Now, I do know there are some areas that we can improve on as far as patrolling, but I don't have a problem. I know the number by heart, just like you did, and you can recite it because, like, it just bothers me. When I get out at night, I don't want to see anybody hanging out on the corner because things happen at night that shouldn't be. There's no reason why some of the stores should be open after midnight. And, you know, I've already had the conversation with our manager about, and I can't get into too many details because there are other council members here, and I don't want to get into something that may potentially come before us, about some alternatives that we can do about curtailing or requiring that a police detail, if they have to stay open at night, that they have police detail, because some of these concerns that you're bringing up shouldn't happen in any community, much less in Riviera Beach.
I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Pleasant. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Clifford Ting Brown. I live on 25th Street. I did have someone after I called to come out and see about my house because I think they shook mine off the foundation a little bit. So he was supposed to return. I haven't heard from him. But my main concern now, the house next to me on the west side, they have all these trees that need to be trimmed. Who do I call to get them to get their trees trimmed? Because they're tall and they're growing over in my yard.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna I'm gonna have, I don't know if it's a code issue or a public works issue, but I think public works code. Okay. Is it a private home or is it? So regardless, if it's code or public works, is it a private property owner?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a code issue.
Oh, okay.
It's a code issue. So certainly, on that, I believe they were giving out magnets, but there's my office number, and there's also a number on there for code enforcement.
Okay.
But if you call code and you don't hear back from them, you can please call 845-3686. That's District 1's legislative office, and I'll make sure someone's on it. Yes, ma'am.
One more question. There's empty space behind my house, and I have cars driving right through on my property to the other street.
Mm-hmm.
If I put something out there to flatten their tires, would I get in trouble?
I don't think I can even answer that question. Listen, please, I'm gonna have my staff person get your address, and then we're gonna definitely come out and address the issue. But I can't answer that question. My recommendation is don't do it. Okay. Excuse me. We just had your husband. You gonna come too?
I sure do. Because my husband can't tell it like I can. Greetings to everyone. My name is Tiffany Jones, and I reside at 1309. I am renting the property from my grandfather. This is my issue, and I applaud you. Thank you for coming back. How you doing, Mr. Rozier? Mr. McCoy, you know we love each other. But when it comes down to my family and our safety, I don't care about nothing else. My son fell in the yard about 3.5 weeks ago. His arm was messed up from the dirt and the rocks and all of that were out there in the yard. I didn't come to the city because, thank God, I got insurance. So I took him and took care of all of that. But that's just because these streets have been tore up for so long, we can't keep the kids in the house. Like those pebbles and stuff like that with these kids out there riding these bikes. For all of these around here riding these dirt bikes and stuff, I don't know if that's, relevant or not, but it's going to be an issue. I've stood in front of my house plenty of nights and watched people trying to jump that little V, whatever it is you guys have in the middle of the road, which is doing absolutely nothing from what I can see at this point. I showed Mr. McCoy last night when he was over there how the water is still settling right there in that area. This morning, the gentleman explained to me that it's because the street hasn't been raised up enough as of this far yet, that they still have to put another layer on, and that would raise the ground up a little bit more. But since they have came and sloped our driveways, I showed Mr. McCoy last night. I have pictures. If you want, I can email them to you or whatever have be. It's a major drop from where my property line is or was the level it was at prior to. So what are you going to do at this point? I had bricks and pavers put down in front of my yard prior to them doing any sloping, slanting, sidewalking, or anything, just to try to provide, because I seen the drama that was coming. You can't get down past our streets. If I'm trying to back out my yard, I'm hitting the curbstone at my granddad's property because I can't even back out because the streets are just that narrow. So at this point in time, okay, let me try to do something so that'll keep my vehicle out of the road, because I don't know if anybody else said something, but they use 26 Court like it's a raceway. That is the only street in the neighborhood that runs from S Avenue almost to Old Dixie or Obama. So it's just too much traffic coming through there. And they fly through there like it's no nonsense. I don't know who spoke before me, but yesterday while we were standing out there with your employees, your workers, one of your officers came flying down the street. She was riding so fast, I couldn't even get the numbers on the truck. It wasn't an emergency. It was nothing going on. I have said several times that someone needs to sit there. They run those stop signs. You talking about a speed bump? They don't care about speed bumps. We sat there and watched these guys in a little Toyota Camry or Corolla. If Toyota was present, they could have got paid a lot of money for a commercial at that moment. Them guys came down there and they were running from you police and they couldn't even catch it. They came down that hill full speed ahead. I sit there and I watch this every night. I have to fuss at my kids a lot of times because I don't even want them outside. I didn't want them outside before y'all even did the streets. So now that the streets are in this place, I sure as heck don't want my children outside because it's a hazard. It's dangerous. So I'm only here because, number one, my yard is too high. I've already showed Mr. Tradrick. I've already spoke to a lot of guys out there. I spoke to this gentleman right here. Prior to me leaving the home this morning, they were giving me all kind of runaround about what's going on. They needed me to move my brooks 15, 16 feet up in my yard. I had to pull all the pavers up to keep my vehicles off of the road. Now they haven't re-poured my front yard. I don't know what's going on. They have to fix it. I had a gate that closed every night. For most of your officers that ride by, they can tell you, if they're familiar with the neighborhood, my gates were able to close prior to all of this going on. Now you have about a 6 to 7 inch drop. My wheels cannot touch the ground. So, like, it's just too much. So I don't know what the solution is for the road, but that's a disaster. And what it is an issue waiting to happen. Somebody's child or an adult will get hit out there one day because that street is ridiculous. And again, this was one of the officers that came through there, and I had to jump up on the curb. And I looked back at her, and I was like offended by the situation. I even cussed at the police truck. Like, you don't lost your everlasting mind. We standing out here. So the level of respect, not even just coming from the people that live or just flying through there, but just the officers. It has to be a level of respect and ownership for the area, not just the property, so that you will love where you live. And this can be the best city where you live, work, and play.
I want to say one more thing I forgot to say about the roads. Okay, I came to every meeting that they had, every design that they showed, how they were going to do the roads. They looked so beautiful. But when they put the road there, I never seen that design. I don't think nobody never seen that design, did you? Nobody never saw that design. It was just a totally different one. And the one that they even sent the one out that they were going to put down, and they didn't do it.
Yes, ma'am. I think so. So what is clear at this point is there has been a lot of confusion. I remember I was on the planning board since 2012.
And they're ugly too.
We were presented with one version, and then there was a different version. Well, the first version gave us the option. Well, no, the first version was one-way streets, and then there was another alternative of property owners potentially folks not too loud.
Didn't want to move
The second option was to give up 5 feet of property on both sides, and then we've seen a design that had for a sidewalk on one side of the street that would allow for 2 lanes of traffic and then possibly on-street parking only on one side of the road.
Right.
Ma'am, I can commit to you that I know that there's a problem, but I don't want to speak to what happened in the past. Because honestly, I've only been here 90 days.
I know you didn't.
Let's go forward, right?
Yeah, I know.
And we're gonna workshop this item, right? Because I've told the manager, and this is his 3rd day now, right?
Okay.
3rd.
I got one more question there. This thing they have in the road, okay?
It's a sidewalk.
No, the sidewalks and this little the little strip they have in the middle of the street.
The sidewalk. The 3rd.
No, it's not the.
So
the drain. the drain in the street.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to let you know you have an amenity no other city has. Yeah. You got 3 sidewalks. Okay, but yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it is so ugly because it's high. You know what I mean? And it's hard, probably hard on your tires too, and it's hard to back in and out of your house. Are they going to level that out and smooth it out and make it better?
I believe so.
Yes,
Are they going to do that?
Yes, we are.
And then, of course, if you look at from the park up to I live on 26th Street. If you get the road from the park up to Barack Obama. That street is even nice. It don't even, no, it's not even designed like the streets that they have there, and they look different. Yes, it look right. It's terrible. So I just, are they gonna do the sidewalks again too? Cause you got white sidewalks, a white drain in the middle, and black tar, black tar on the road. So you got black and white streets.
Asphalt. Well, I know as painful as it is, it's really a joy to
And
see
they're
that we
ugly.
can get some laughter out of, a situation that's not the best. So,
Really quick, Councilman McCoy and I, we have an item here that we're going to workshop this item with the board, because we have to look at all the items that you have brought to our attention and how do we ultimately resolve the issues. Because at the end of the day, whatever the road looks like, good, bad, or indifferent, you as the taxpayers have to pay for the workmanship. And so if you're not comfortable or proud, or it's not practical, or it doesn't work, we have to be honest with ourselves to say, let's look at some solutions and ways to correct the issue. So one of the things that we certainly want to do is have the discussion with the council and bring forward the project to have the discussion and then get direction as to how the council wishes to proceed. And even the baby's upset with things, but I do want to recognize Senator Bobby Powell and then Representative Al Jaquette for being here. We're certainly fortunate to have representatives in Tallahassee that are involved in what's happening here in Riviera Beach. But we certainly want to make sure that we have that discussion with the council, bring forward some solutions and some opportunities to correct some of those issues that you may have. Please make sure that you provide your contact information to Ms. Davis so we can inform you as to what's going on. On another issue, I know folks had communicated some concerns with regards to, the cleanliness of the community and some police issues and those types of things. One of the things that on my second day on the job, we had a discussion with the acting chief of police about our nuisance abatement program. And our nuisance abatement program right now doesn't possess some of the teeth that we need to address some of the concerns we have in our community. Because we want to take a very stern approach that if you are going to cause issues in the neighborhood, we're not going to tolerate. And then we will take every measure necessary to take possession of the home if the issues are not corrected. So we are going to look at what authorities that we have in our code and make some modifications, because you deserve a community that's safe, you deserve streets and sidewalks that are traversable, but we are going to take every step necessary to make sure that we address those problem areas in our neighborhood. And folks know that if you're going to come to Riviera Beach, there's consequences if you cannot conduct yourself as an adult in our communities and making sure our communities are safe. So we will be having future conversations with the board about our nuisance abatement program and things we can do to clean up our neighborhood. But we certainly, relative to this project, we are going to bring this before the council. I don't know if Councilman McCoy wants to do the door hangers, because that's very effective and it's a good way for our city wellness program. So I may go out with him to make sure we put notices on your doors to inform you as to when the meeting happens. But having the conversation now is great, but we need to continue to have the conversation. And when the board sits down there and has to make a decision whether we have to look at putting more money on this project to correct it, they need to hear your comments in a public forum such as this so they can make informed public policy decisions. So we are going to have another conversation with the board as a collegial body, and ultimately they'll make a policy direction and provide staff. The things that you have communicated as far as the alleyways and trash and debris, the Public Works Director is now on notice that we will have crews out there tomorrow to correct those issues. I've asked the acting assistant city manager to make contact with the contractor and get the sand and silt off the roadway. They said that they're waiting till the end of the project or till they're done with the driveways. I want it cleaned up now, and they can come back and clean it again. They work for us. So we're going to make sure we take that approach, and she's already going to make the phone call. So we're going to take the steps necessary to spruce up the neighborhood. If we miss something as crews are out there tomorrow, certainly feel free to give us a call at City Hall, and we'll get out there and we'll get the issue resolved.
Mr. Israel, and then I want to make sure. Go ahead, Mr. Israel. Okay.
Well, Brother Jonathan, well, let me just say this. We might need to give Deidre a raise because you said she's the acting city manager, so you might have to give her a raise. I don't know if you meant to say that. You know, I want to definitely thank Councilman Tradrick McCoy. He's been called on multiple occasions in Monroe Heights area, and he has came every time. I don't know, I think he's had the whole city staff there looking at the issues in the Monroe Heights area. I also want to say how imperative it is for the community to stay engaged. See, we can't wait till things happen, but we have to stay engaged. Now, the Monroe Heights area, this inverted crown has really just kind of decimated areas in our community. And most of the community is not aware that whoever made the decision for inverted streets to do that. I'm truly not opposed to correcting the inverted streets because it's something that does not add to the community. I don't know what the cost is, but it takes away from the community. And we really should have unified streets throughout the whole city. When people come to our city, they should see all the beautiful streets throughout Riviera Beach. I think it's wonderful that Singer Island have an area that has concrete streets, but I think all of Riviera Beach should have concrete streets, not just a particular area. Now, when it came to, it's kind of difficult to see such beautiful work done on Singer Island, and then you come to the Monroe Heights area and put this design that the community don't like, and we just, you know, it's just not right. We have a lot of senior citizens in the Monroe Heights area. We've had people fall because of the driveways. It just seemed like there was no consideration for whoever made the decision when it came to the Monroe Heights. Now, when I go over on Singer Island, which is wonderful, but when they had designed driveways, they put it back just like it was. When they come to Monroe Heights, those who had designed driveways, they didn't put it back. Now, there are some senior citizens who was approached, who had designed sidewalks, and they convinced the senior citizen to accept that kind of work. The senior citizens are supposed to be the golden years, and we really have to take much better care of them than we do. We should do everything to make them feel comfortable. Now, there's quite a few people, for whatever reasons, couldn't make it out, and I wasn't really going to say anything, but I got several calls. Please say these concerns. And I really appreciate Tradrick McCoy for the work that he has done. He's literally walked door to door by himself, hanging door hangers for us to come to the meeting. So we need to go back in the Monroe Heights area and tell the residents who didn't come, we need to come to the meetings. If we'd have been more involved, possibly this would not have happened. Now, we fought hard to get in a new council. We fought hard to get Jonathan back. And it's really time for the good people in Riviera Beach to come together to work to make our city the kind of city we want it to be. Don't expect our existing city council to do it by themselves. We have to support them. Now, if Tradrick gonna come walk the streets, least we can come support him. Does that make sense? But I really want to thank what you're doing. I want to thank, good gracious, many times I call your name, Jeff, for coming out and viewing this stuff for yourself. Is Ms. Wellens here? Monique Wellens? Where's she at? I just want to say this here. This is the first urgent care that we had to come to Riviera Beach. Pull in there, she kind of shy. You're going to have to pull her in. But, oh, there she is, hold her hand. I see her acting shy. That's Dr. Wellens. She brought to Riviera Beach the first urgent care, and we want to make sure that she is successful. So it's going to take us to go to the business to make it successful. I really want to emphasize, and I see you looking at me, I know what that means. The community is going to have to stay involved. This message should go out throughout Riviera Beach that we got to get behind our existing council and our, in my district, Tradrick McCoy. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to take one more comment from Ms. Bram. And at this point, if we haven't addressed your concerns or you haven't told me, I'm going to ask, you know, a couple staff members that I designated to make themselves available out in the vestibule in the event that we haven't already addressed it. After you, Ms. Bram. Oh, definitely after you. To make ourselves available to get your contact information and find out what issues or concerns you may have, because I want to move to the public safety component, because I only gave you a little taste. I didn't feed you, so you can't sleep here tonight, and they're going to put us out after a while. So go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Hi, good evening. I am definitely concerned for all the residents in this area. As you see, everybody know Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown works with them all. But what has gone on, it is unacceptable. That's where it falls at. How we come to litigate this and make it better, then you as a governing board and city manager must do that. But it takes a collaborative body, just like Amon said, for everybody to come together and come to this table so that we can get the things that we deserve. This was a shoddy job. I make no bones. They should be fired. I make no bones. I make no apologies. If we are to do better, we must have betterment. I often say that skill set and that professionalism. See, that's what helps moves us. We do have a good board. I'm satisfied with this board here. And I think the community is satisfied also. We're satisfied with Mr. Jonathan Evans. See, I call him Mr. I know I'm older than he is, but he is Mr. Jonathan Evans. And that is who he is. And we're proud of him. And we're proud of the board. And we're proud of all of our other elected officials. I like what Mr. Jonathan Evans said. You work for us. We do not work for you. We are the watchmen in the tower that make sure that you're working on our behalf. The sidewalk out there is still there, unmanned. That's 2 weeks. That's unacceptable. Don't you just have to pour concrete in there? So get on your jobs. And if you can't do your job, then let the door hit you in your back. Because we want to go to higher grounds in this city. That's just all it is to it. So if you can't do the job, don't get mad when somebody else comes in and do the job that you were paid to do and did not do it. We would not settle for less anymore. We have been deprived long enough.
Well, and I agree. Thank you, Ms. Brown. And I agree, there has been some things that have been neglected and overlooked, but I can tell you, and I know, let me tell you something. I know I have confidence in our board. Let me tell you, we've done enough meetings in the first 90 days. and some municipalities have done in 2 years. You hear what I'm saying? So I know that we are definitely committed, but just know, folks, we human. Our staff is human, and sometimes, a lot of this work is done by contractors, and when we get out in those communities, those people just want to work and they're not concerned. So we have to be on top of them. And trust me, I don't think Mr. Amon was exaggerating. I actually literally walked, and I wanted to make sure that I touched everybody that I could. And many of these people did see me come to the door. So listen, if we haven't addressed your concerns regarding road construction, I would just simply ask if you can go to the vestibule out in the foyer area, and then a staff person can take your information. I want to move forward. There is some concerns, and Mr. Pleasant brought them up regarding public safety around retail, and I spoke of them. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Mr. Bailey, don't go far, because these people do know who you are. You are the Public Works Director. And, I'm really grateful. Thank you, Mr. Sandon. It's been a pleasure having you to help us through some of these issues, but there is going to be more conversations, more phone calls, and we're going to have to definitely come up with some solutions to address these issues, because they're on me, right? And what I can commit to them is that we're going to find out something to address their issues. So I appreciate your support and what you have done, and even taking those early, before 8 o'clock in the morning, phone calls about some of these issues. So thank you so much, but we will be workshopping this item going forward. Thank you, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Sanon. So from the public safety aspect, Sergeant Menard, thank you for coming out, and I've seen a few members of the community policing and also school resource officers. What's important to me is definitely public safety, and I know we heard a couple times tonight about some of the issues with traffic and speeding in residential neighborhoods and traffic calming devices. Folks, call the police. Let me tell you how important that is. I just inherently was doing my normal routine, and I ran right into a scene that was pretty graphic over the weekend, and I'm still traumatized from what I've seen. And immediately I called 911, and they respond very quickly. I know we've had recently a tragic accident with a shooting in our community, and what I can say is, I was really impressed at Riviera Beach. We've come a very long ways. Just compared to where we were last year this time, I think, Chief, if I'm correct, somewhere around 75% reduction in violent crimes and shootings in our city. Now, there's no perfect city. We all recognize that. But what I can say is, if you see something, you have to say something. Don't assume, and I really feel bad. If you take the Parkland shooting, for example, the one officer that was criminally charged for child neglect because he heard shooting. I mean, sometimes when you hear shots, right, you don't really know where they come from. So to some degree, I reason with him, and I feel bad that it happened to him. But the police can't be everywhere all the time, and we have budgetary constraints. So when things happen, don't expect that we know as a city or the police department is supposed to know. But to that end, I want to also allow the chief to speak to some of the crime reduction that is taking place and some of the statistics, and also some of the community policing efforts that's going to be going forward, especially going into the new school year. I know for some of you that don't know, we don't have one school this year. Washington Elementary students are now being moved to Lincoln Elementary, and I know I had this conversation with Chief Madden. So they're rebuilding Washington Elementary, and those students are going to be temporarily housed at Lincoln Elementary. But still, we're going to definitely need to address the school safety in the school zones, and I want everybody to be cognizant of it, because there is going to be an increased effort, being that there's no texting and driving. These are our little ones, so we have to protect our future and our children. So, Chief Rozier, if you can speak to some of the public safety initiatives that your officers in the department are undertaking.
Good evening, everyone. I am Spencer Rozier. I'm currently your acting chief of police. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I love to see this kind of participation at meetings. Like they said, the only way we're going to get these problems solved if we all work together. That's include you letting us know what we can do better, and us bringing things to your attention, what we're doing, so we can educate you and let you know some of the efforts that we are making day in and day out. So one of the things I want to start off doing before I say anything else is thank the officers that are here now. They didn't have to be here. They're here because they care about the community. I got the traffic sergeant, Sergeant Fashaw, Sergeant Menard, Officer Borum, Officer Phillips. Yeah, yeah. And also staff. Mrs. Franklin is out here too. She's a part of our staff, and she's very active in the community also. So some people know me, maybe others don't. But my name is Spencer Rozier, and I am a product of this community. I grew up in Monroe Heights. I went to, I don't know what they call it now. They call it Kitty Homes at the time, the daycare center right on 25th and PBO. I went to West Riviera Elementary School. I also went to John F. Kennedy Middle School. They bused us to Palm Beach Gardens. So that's the only time I got outside of the community. But it was funny. I was talking to an Air Force buddy of mine that I met 36 years ago. I never forget. I was trying to find a way to better myself. I knew my grandparents who raised me didn't have enough money to send me to college, so I had to figure out a way where I could get on my feet and not be a burden to them. So long story short, I ended up going to the Air Force. One of my buddies I met in there, his name is Ralph Patterson. He called me last night. He said, Spence, because I told him about the promotion. He called me back. He said, Spencer, it's 36 years to the day that we graduated. Remember, he's a good historian, so he remembered all these things. Graduated from the Air Force Police Academy. We were just learning how to be police officer, and now you're in a position of being the acting chief. So it kind of put everything in perspective for me, because you kind of think about your journey, and as time go on, you're just thinking about the next steps you have to take to keep progressing. But he reminded me where I came from, and the circumstances we came out of. So to me, this is not just a job for me. This is a passion for me. Where I'm from, I remember working. I was one of the first African American officers to work in the town of Palm Beach, and I remember working there. I remember sitting there, beautiful community. You couldn't pick a more beautiful place and all that. But my thoughts always were back with Riviera Beach. I say someday, hopefully, I'll be able to go back and serve the community I grew up in. I feel blessed to have that opportunity now. So, that being said, maybe y'all won't take it so hard on me and give me a little break. I know you won't, and that's okay, though. That's okay. I can take it. My grandmother, Mary Elizabeth Rose, she was a tough lady, so I'm used to taking the heat. So, but I just want to stress some of the things that the officers do. I'm so very proud of the officers we have. They do a great job day in and day out. When we hear all these serious calls going on, when I first got here, I was like, okay, maybe Sundays is a good day to stay in the office and get some paperwork done and things like that. I was trying to plan out how I would get things done. Well, you can't pick what day things are going to happen on. I've been here on a Easter Sunday morning where someone was killed out in Stony Brook. So you never know when it's going to go down. And when I first got here, I was just jumping in my car trying to run everywhere. I hear a call go out, somebody got a knife and this and that, and and before I could even get there, the officers already had it under control and nothing happened, and you never hear about those. That's the kind of job they do. When the calls go out, serious calls, they're going straight to that call to try to help somebody. I'm so proud of the officers we have and the good work they do. But can we do better? Yes, we can. That's the whole point of it. Keep striving for excellence. That's the only thing I've ever known. Criticism doesn't bother me because my expectation for myself is higher than anybody else. So if you criticize me, that it lets me know I need to get better. I need to try harder. And that's what it's all about, us working together. I want to applaud the officers. They do a lot of work in the community. You got the community policing officers here. They do work day in and day out with helping us build better relationships within the community, including some of the work that we do with the youth empowerment program. We've done events with them out in Cunningham Park. I went with them. We went over to St. George's Church where we've not only helped feed the homeless, but we sat down and ate with them to get to know them, had great conversations with them. And it's many, many other things that they do including our SROs, which are school resource officers. They do a lot of good work in the communities and at the schools, and get to know the kids, and you'd be surprised some of the information that the kids will give them once they feel comfortable with the officers. We were able to get to the bottom of some serious issues they were facing within their homes. So I applaud them also. We got our traffic units. Usually they're the ones in the school zones enforcing the traffic laws during the school is in the mornings and things like that. But they're making a sacrifice right now. When summer comes, we know that certain crime picks up in the summertime because our kids are out of school. Certain criminal activity pick up. So we've shifted their whole work schedule where they're working in the evening where these crimes occur. We call that our summer breeze operation. It's been very successful. Stop everything from happening? No. But like Councilman McCoy was saying, for the first half of this year, we had only had one verified homicide. Unfortunately, just recently we had another one. Any homicide, any violent crime is a tragedy. You know, we wish we could prevent them. Try our very hardest to do that. Sometimes just don't know where it's going to happen, when and where, but we try our best to try to prevent these things and develop intelligence information and work with other agencies to try to prevent and eradicate a lot of the crime that's out there. But we can't do any of this without your help. You know, if we go to a scene of a shooting or violent criminal activity, you know, shot spotter and all of those things help us get there quickly. But if we don't have the cooperation and assistance by the community, a lot of times those crimes are very, very hard to solve. Then we have to just try to basically depend upon our technology and things like that to try to solve the crime, where you may have 10 or 15 witnesses that saw what happened and could help us out. So it's very important for the community and the police department to work together to help solve and eradicate some of the crimes. Those are some of the things we do day in and day out, but I'm definitely open for any questions or comments you have, because, again, that helps us get better. Davis.
I'm going to bring up again, I had to do some undercover drug watching myself, okay? I want to know how you guys are going to come up with a scheme or a plan or whatever to solve all of these drug issues in the neighborhood. Because I was taking pictures and watching people. I would sit on the porch and watch drug dealers come through, buying pills or selling pills or stuff like that. And, you know, we got a lot of this stuff going on, and we need to have some kind of undercover stings. I know we have, not going to say on the streets that you can see, but we need to come up with a plan. I mean, I don't have any problems with telling and watching, because I watch my street. So I just want you to come up with some kind of plan to get rid of these drugs on the streets, because they're selling them in the stores. They're selling 34th Street store. 28th Street is one of the worst. So I'm telling you, you guys need to come up with something. Put the SWAT team to use.
Let me ask you, Ms. Davis, did you report that drug sales that you saw? Okay, that's where we need your help on. Let me just address her concern real quick. Like I said, we can't be everywhere all the time. And when you have these incidents happen, we're relying on the community to work with us to help us know what's going on in your area. Okay, but just to kind of let you know, and I can't tell you all get into the operations that we do, but our investigative unit do a lot of that type of work in all the communities in the city. It's multiple raids. I can't even count the number of raids that we do where we get reports of drug sales, and it's primarily when we get information from citizens to let us know what's going on. We're able to watch the house or wherever it's happening and develop enough evidence to establish probable cause where we can go in and do the raids you're talking about, which I see, we call it the hot sheet. I see those all the time where we are doing things like that. But I'd be happy to know about the specific areas you're talking about so we can address those issues.
To build on some of the comments that the chief made, obviously everyone knows that we have an exceptional law enforcement and public safety team, and we have equally exceptional public works and utility district employees that are here this evening that, you know, are out there all hours of the evening. But one of the things that I will do as I address the employees here in the next week is encourage them that as they're out in the community and they see something that may be questionable, to report that information to law enforcement, because we have over 500 pieces of rolling stock. So let's just say conceivably there's 300 vehicles that we have out and about in the community. At any particular time, we may have 8 or 10 officers out there in the community, but I have hundreds of other vehicles and other employees and other eyes out in our community. So one of the things that I'm going to challenge the employees to do is if they see something, to say something, to report it, so that we're always policing our community and we utilize our employees, our most valuable asset, to help us combat some of these issues so that this community is constantly being watched. So that's something that is not traditional in most government entities, but I want the employees, as they have already done, to take ownership in this community and their job, but also assist their peer agency in addressing some of the concerns that you all have communicated this evening.
It's been going on for about a year and a half since Chief Williams left. I think it's been a year and a half. I need to know, when are we going to address the chief situation? I know it's been a hot topic. I like our chief we got now. And I just want to put that out there, that I've been advocating for Major Rozier since I ran for council, and I just, not to put you on the seat, but yeah, to put you on the seat, that I would very much like to get something stable so that we can really move forward with our police department. And my vote is just to have Spencer Rose.
Well, to kind of bring everyone up to speed, we have over, I think, a total of 80 vacancies in the organization. We have multiple vacancies in executive leader positions. Right now, I have Ms. Jacobs that's serving as the acting assistant city manager, and we have acting chief Rozier. But as it relates to the police chief, one of the things that I want to do is similar to the process that I believe is important for this community, is that the selection for the police chief position is not going to be a selection that Jonathan makes in a vacuum. One of the things that I will tell you that we will do is we will post the position and we would accept applications and we will narrow it down to who we believe is the top candidates for the position. We will have a public reception where you will have an opportunity to hear from each of the candidates that are going to be considered for the position. There will be a public interview where they will be asked questions. There will be a mock scenario or circumstance that they will have to give me their input and feedback on how they would handle the issue. And then ultimately, with all that body of information, they will be interviewed by the law enforcement officers as they will be involved in the discussion, because I don't want to select a chief that I select. I don't want you to say there is the police chief. I want you to say there is our police chief. And the only way that happens is if the employees and the community and all the stakeholders have some say in the process. But it is something that here in the next 30 days is a priority for me to look at some key positions and addressing the concerns that are in the organization. Like I have communicated to Chief Rozier, he has my full support in serving in this role, and we are meeting with respect to what my leadership philosophy is. I had the opportunity to work with him my first stint, and so we're going to continue that progress, but we're going to move pretty quickly on some key vacancies. But I can assure you there's going to be multiple conversations and opportunities with the community to interact with the candidates for the police chief, as it is an important position for the community.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Scott. I work for Public Works. I'm speaking as a resident and an employee. I'm here tonight to thank God you're here. But also I'm here because I have some, not only me, but I have some employees here that came to support. We want you to see who we are. We have the support of Mr. Evans. We know what we could say and do now. We are here to show you our face, and the guys that's in the back, I want to recognize them. I don't want them to not, they're my co-workers. You got Mr. Grady Burns, Mr. Reese Green, Mr. William Stewart, Mr. Ricky Sapp. These are some of the employees. We're here because we are concerned, because we do work for you. And we're here because we want you guys to know, when you see us ride by in the truck, a lot of you do know me, I think, because you stop us. But we're going to work with Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans, before he left, he was going to start a program where you know me and I know you. And that was going to be an awesome program. And I'm here to make sure he remembers that we want you, when we're riding through the neighborhood, you're allowed to stop us. But I know we're going to have some meetings. He already explained. I know how he works. He's going to have some meetings where when you stop me, you're not going to get frustrated, because sometimes you guys stop me and say, can you fix my water? And I work in Public Works. And I don't do water, and I don't know nothing, so you get angry. Are you here to cut off my water? But if we educate you on how the trucks are, what PW 1510, that's my truck. That means I can come, do certain things like the alleyways, just potholes, the tree trimming, and all that. And then we have another truck that has different symbols on it that means different things. But if the citizens was educated on what that, say, let me see, oh, that's a PW, that means that can cut my alleyway. Let me stop them. So, because I know sometimes you guys get frustrated when you stop us and we can't do what you say. But if we educate you, but we want you to not only know the trucks, but know our faces as employees for you. And we know the frustration. We hear it all the time. But these guys, I know they're a little shy, but they can come on. And also, Mr. Evans, we have something that we have been praying over. When you left the last time, it broke our heart. And they had us to move. We also do moving. We do a lot of stuff for the city. We do everything with miscellaneous. And they had us to move the stuff out of City Hall. And one thing we held on to as a team is your signature mount. We prayed over this, we kept it, we held on to it. So we want to present it back to you as your stamp.
Okay, there we go. No, that just goes to show you the remarkable folks that we have in our organization. But, you know, to Mrs. Scott's comments, I've done a lot of customer service training and those types of things. And one of the best entities when you look at customer service training is you can look at the Publix model and you can look at the Nordstrom model. And I went and actually met with the manager of Nordstrom's. And I asked some questions, and I said, how do you deal with employees that have issues? And they're like, we don't have it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have employees that have issues? They said, if an employee cannot resolve another dispute with another employee, they can't resolve my customer's concerns, so they don't work here. And so I said, well, you know, that's a great concept. And when I walked into the manager's office, the word yes was on the back of the wall. And she said, my job is to try to leave where every customer can get that answer. And what they do is they empower their employees to make decisions And that's one thing that we are going to do. Empower our employees to make decisions. That if Ms. Scott or the Public Works Department pulls up on a curb and there's an issue and you are the resident or complaining about the issue, they don't have to say, let me go back to the Public Works yard and get an answer and then has to go through this bureaucratic chain. No, they're going to be empowered to make that decision. And if they make a decision that we may not have liked, we coach them up on the opportunity to say, well, I wouldn't have handled it this way, but they made the decision that if they exercise good judgment in all circumstances, I will always support our employees. And we have to understand that we're not managing ourselves, that we have to give employees the opportunity to learn, to make mistakes, and to grow, but to empower them to get out there and learn about the community and the operation. So I can tell you that in the time that I left the organization, I had an opportunity to do a lot of reflecting. And before I can tell you, I used to be a person that if I saw your performance evaluation, all my performance evaluations were stellar. And then when I got terminated, it changed the way I looked at things because my job used to define me. Now I define my job. My job is what I do. It's not who I am. And I can tell you when I see an application or a resume from somebody that's been terminated or displaced, I said, hey, maybe that person stood up for something. Maybe they went through something and fought for something that they believed in and they had unwavering principles. So maybe that is the person I want to hire. So one of the things that I tell folks that probably what happened to me the first time was the best thing that happened to me because I've been able to learn and grow as a person. And you can see the respect and admiration that the employees and I have because we are a team. That Jonathan Evans is the city manager, but Jonathan Evans is no more valuable than any employee that we have in the organization. And we need to provide the employees the resources and the support and the commitment to know that if they have an issue or concern that they can come and communicate with us. But we are going to empower our employees that when you see our employees, they're going to be smiling. When you see our law enforcement officers, they're going to be smiling. Come and visit us at City Hall. Don't wait till you have an issue. Come see the amazing folks that you have working in your operations because I can tell you some of the best people that I've ever worked with in my entire career and ever interacted are in this community. We just have not taken the top off and allowed for them to meet their full potential. And so I'm excited about the work. We know there's a lot of work ahead. There's a lot of meetings that still are on the horizon, but I have confidence and full faith in this board's ability to understand that we're here to do a job and we're going to make you proud about the job we're going to do. And we're going to make this community the envy of every other community. So Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm, all the other communities, they're going to be looking and say, you know what? What is Riviera Beach doing? And we're going to make you all proud. I promise you that. We're going to give everything we have. Huh? You're going to get a raise? Huh? That's not my decision. That's a policy decision. The board has to put it in the budget. I can recommend it.
I see a few questions. Ms. Polk, Mr. Franklin, and yes, ma'am. So in that order. And then we're going to be bringing it in for a landing here soon. And I wanted to kind of close up with a couple things. So don't leave out yet. Don't leave, Madam Chair.
Good evening. My name is Doretta Park, and I just wanted to bring up an issue that in the last month, Ms. Graham was after leaving one of the meetings, she was approached by another citizen, and it frightened her. And I brought up the issue that when we come into these meetings, although we do have the metal detectors, but then we still need police officers, just as they are here, which they're fine officers also, that we need them when we're coming in for our safety and when it's dark, going out. We need this to happen. I know Miss Deidre Jacobs, she was awesome, an awesome acting city manager, but we are glad you're back, and hats off to her. She did a marvelous job, but we need this protection. Mr. Evans, we need protection for all of us.
We will certainly work with law enforcement to make sure that there's personnel in the parking lot as people
Very
exit
good.
the meeting. And
Very
thank you for your comments to Ms. Jacobs.
Yes.
I joked around with her. I said, why do you need me to come back? You're doing a great job.
Excellent. No, we needed you to come back, and we're very
That she
proud
said.
and glad that you are back.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you
what she
very
said.
much.
She told me you better get back here. So,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Ralph Franklin. I'm a retired police major for this great city of Riviera Beach Police Department. I worked here 31 hard years. I started back in the heydays when we didn't have walkie-talkies. I was promoted major, which would be third in charge of the police department. It's amazing, I got two heroes here. I'm gonna start with Haines City, Florida first. When I first came to Haines City, Florida, I gave up saying Haines City. I said, I'm from Lakeland. Nobody knew Haines City at, and you from Haines City. This man from Haines City, Florida, one of my boys. This man right here, Mr. Rozier, I've been knowing him as a little young boy. As he progressed over in town of Palm Beach, I became a hero. I monitored him, I watched him. As I got promoted, he was getting promoted. I have so much respect for this police department, I love him to death. Last night about 8:30, Joe Newman and I was talking about the speed on Avenue S. Late this afternoon, I got a phone call, a nervous phone call. The traffic guys on Avenue S writing tickets. Chief, I want to commend you. This man here gonna hit the ground running, I'm telling you. I know him. Hearts for hearts, I worked with a lot of Chief Mr. Evans. Probably in my career, about 15 of them. One thing about Riviera Beach, we trained real hard. We should be proud of the City of Riviera Police Department. When guys leave our department, they go to the Sheriff Department, West Palm, they come promoted. I've had Chief Police tell me, send me some more. Be proud of the city here. This is a great city. I used to find all some time criticizing the police department. If it's so bad, go somewhere else. They never left. When I retired, they were still there. Thank you very much, everybody. Love you, appreciate you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Deborah Allen. I am new to Riviera Beach. I've been here now about maybe a year and a half. I brought my house over on 37th and 37th Court off of O. I'm in the middle of the construction that's getting ready to happen on Silver Beach Road. I'm glad to see you back, Mr. Evans. I don't know you. This is my first time meeting you. I'm glad, Cedric, that you are now one of our council members. I've watched what's been going on in this city since I've moved here. And initially, I must say, I was very disappointed. And some of the things that you've been talking about, for instance, I was a city employee who came here looking to do the right thing, and I got dismissed with a two-line letter of dismissal. And once I took it to the employment office, I could have sued the city because I was improperly dismissed. But I'm like, it wasn't worth it to me to go through all that. What is worth it for me is to see that the people who run this city do the right thing. And as Mr. Evans said, this is the city of Riviera Beach. It's not Singer Island, it's Riviera Beach. And if you're on the council, you are a member to represent both sides of that bridge, both on the west side and the east side. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anyone dissuade you. Keep focused, because you're going to have a lot coming at you. And then as the citizens of Riviera Beach, be a little softer with them.
So I sit home sometime and I watch the meetings that go on. Every time they have a meeting, I lay in my bed and I watch. And y'all are not easy. Y'all are not easy. And they are trying so hard. I told Commissioner Tradrick, McCoy, that he was the first person that I seen that put a thank you sign after he was elected in office. He put a thank you sign. I didn't see yours. If I didn't see yours, I'm sorry, but I saw yours. And I just thought that that was wonderful to thank the people who voted for you. And I'm not ashamed to say I voted for each and every one of you that won that election. Me and my husband sit on our couch and we did our background investigation to see who we were going to vote for. And each of you won. And I just want to say welcome, be strong, and continue to do the right thing.
Thank you, Ms. Allen, and Councilwoman Botel, and also Councilwoman Kashaba Miller Anderson. They all put in it, so I'm standing on their shoulders. I'm a copycat, so they did it first. So I think we had a really great meeting, but let me tell you folks, there's always this saying that they always want to have a meeting, but there has to be follow-up. So hopefully everybody got a magnet or contact information. Really my honor. So it's not just thank you. It's an honor, sir. Even though you say they hard on us, they are hard on us. They knock on your door. They find you in the grocery store. But you know what? It's an honor to serve, and I really appreciate this opportunity. So in Mr. Evans' word, good, bad, or indifferent, it's truly a blessing to be here. And that's what I want to do, even if we can't always agree on a common ground. And thank you, Mr. Bruce Herring, for sending me those text messages during those meetings to make sure that I'm on track or let me know I should be bringing up this. So it's always important that people give us feedback because we're not perfect and, nobody knows everything. To that point about S Avenue, is Mr. Bailey here still? I think he might have stepped out, but we are addressing the concerns on S Avenue regarding speeding, and I know that there's been increased traffic enforcement efforts. But I was remiss, so let me apologize. I want to recognize Mr. Commissioner John Linden from the town of Lake Park, our neighboring city. Please forgive me. We had a drastic accident out here, and I was trying to catch up. I was sweating for the first 30 minutes because I was so nervous. So I apologize. And welcome. Thank you for coming. It's really a blessing to have our neighbors from next door. We really want to be good neighbors to the town of Lake Park, and we have some things coming up, certainly along the Broadway corridor. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I want to recognize Commissioner Lawson for an announcement regarding your event that you have coming up this Thursday. Let's receive him, Commissioner. Receive Commissioner Lawson.
Councilman, thank you so much. Folks, this is what we need. This is exactly what we need to do on a regular basis. So, Councilman McCoy, thank you for setting this initiative. Welcome home, sir. As we get to work, we actually have an event right here in Cunningham Park. It's going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. It's an event, it's going to be a series, community conversation. It's going to be on the documentary, the movie, When They See Us. We're going to be having a discussion to talk about anti-bullying, talk about community policing, to talk about the rights that we have as citizens for our children and as adults. So I want everyone to try to come out on Thursday at 6 p.m. It's going to be a 4-part series, 6 to 8 p.m., and we're going to be having a panel discussion to just talk about the rights and work together as a community to help continue to uplift and build our community. So we'll be playing the movie from 6 to 7, and then a panel discussion will be from 7 to 8 o'clock. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Pro Tem Dr. Julia Botel for an announcement.
Because I know it's televised, and although I do represent, let me see who spoke about Singer Island. Oh, I do represent the whole community of Riviera Beach, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I am having a town hall meeting on Thursday evening. Unfortunately, it's in conflict with my colleague's event, which I would love to be able to attend, but I can't be everywhere. So I'm having my town hall meeting on Thursday evening from 6 o'clock, probably till about 7:30. And then I know that Mr. McCoy has an announcement about some special event we're having on Sunday.
Thank you. So this coming Sunday, we are having a formal meet and greet for our returning city manager, Mr. Jonathan Evans, at the Riviera Beach Marina Event Center. And the public is invited. I believe we're starting at 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 to 6. This Sunday, food, music at the Riviera Beach Marina Event Center. So please, everyone's welcome to come out. Madam Chair. Okay. And again, this is my final comments. I want to thank you, and I'm going to give the microphone over to our city manager. Ms. Jacobs, you want to come up and sing a solo for us? Like, you know, and thank you again, Ms. Deirdre Jacobs. She really did quite a bit for us. Thank you so much for everything. She should stand up. Okay, she doesn't want to be seen. Mr. Evans?
Well, again, I can't thank Ms. Jacobs enough, and you know, it's a running joke. My executive assistant in Madeira Beach saw that Ms. Jacobs was given the opportunity to serve as the acting city manager, and so they were like, "Well, you think they'll give me an opportunity here in Madeira Beach?" So I said, "Well, you know, I would have to say maybe by osmosis that's what happened, but no, Ms. Jacobs has been a phenomenal administrator, great friend, great mentor, and so certainly the organization is fortunate to have her. But before we close tonight, certainly, again, thank you all for taking the time to be with us. Thank you for sharing your comments and concerns. I know that Mr. McCoy and the board will make sure that this item is discussed and we come with some real solutions. And one of the things that I've always believed in is planning without implementation is hallucination. So we're going to make sure that we get to a point where you see some real progress on this project and on this community. So again, thank you for spending your evening with us. Please feel free to contact us. Come by the city manager's office. We'll be putting out pretty frequent email communications and newsletters and having coffee with the manager and town hall meetings. So there'll be a lot more interactions such as this. So again, please drive home safely. Thank you for being here with us this evening, and we'll see you hopefully on Sunday. Thank you.